You're tuned into the VSX Digital Sports Network.
Strap it up!
You're listening to The Mind Coordinator with Dr. David Schoonover on KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and VSX Digital Sports Network.
Strap it up! Untamed, unchained, uncanny, unscathed, unstoppable, under pressure. Nobody get it done better. You can spot them from the crowd, anywhere. Call them leopard, undenied.
Hey, welcome everybody. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today on The Mind Coordinator. I'm the head coach, Dr. David Schoonover. We have a very exciting show for you today. Before we get started, I just want to welcome everybody that's listening locally and around the world. This is session 6 of The Mind Coordinator. We are going to delve deep into the intricate workings of the mind to unlock human potential, resilience, and well-being. And I'm really thrilled to embark on this journey with all of you as we explore this fascinating intersection of psychology, personal growth, holistic wellness. The Mind Coordinator, what we believe here is that we understanding the complexities of the mind, it's key to achieving our full potential. From cognitive processes to emotional intelligence, we delve into what makes us tick and how we can harness our mental faculties for positive change, right? It's very important. Emotions are a powerful aspect of human experience. They shape our perceptions and our behaviors. We're going to navigate these realms of emotions from managing stress and anxiety to fostering resilience and cultivating a positive mindset. And having a positive mindset is more like a growth mindset, and that's really at the core of personal development and success. We dive into strategies for adopting a growth mindset. We want to be able to set meaningful goals and overcome obstacles on the path to self-improvement. We talk about relationships here, and healthy relationships and effective, and I stress effective communication. They're vital for thriving in all aspects of life, not just sports. So I want to join us here again as we explore these strategies. We're going to learn how to build strong connections, resolve conflicts, and really fostering meaningful collaborations. Each episode of the Mind Coordinator, we're going to feature guest experts. Today is going to be amazing. I'm glad everybody's tuned in here today. We're going to be talking with coaches, individuals who share their insights, experiences, and expertise in navigating these complexities of the mind. Alrighty, so I want to say once again, thank you. Now, we are going to go to a quick commercial break here. When we get back, I'm going to introduce our guest today. You guys are going to want to stay tuned because today is going to be amazing.
You're listening to The Mind Coordinator with Dr. David Schoonover on KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and VSX Digital Sports Network.
From the crowd, anywhere. Call them leopard, undenied, undefined, unrestrained. How we roll out.
I'm Dr. David Schoonover, your dedicated formation therapist. Feeling weighed down by life's challenges? Let's navigate them together. Whether it's sports psychology, relationships, or career struggles, I'm here to guide you towards clarity and healing. Take the first step towards a brighter tomorrow. Visit thelighthouseSessions.com or call 702-518-4393. Schedule your consultation. I'm Dr. Schoonover. Together, let's illuminate your path to your inner light. Welcome to the Mind Coordinator, where we delve deep in understanding and optimizing mental health, resilience, and performance. I'm your host, Dr. David Schoonover, and I'm excited to embark on this journey with you to explore the intricate connections between our minds, emotions, and personal growth. Whether you're an athlete, a coach, a sports enthusiast, or someone interested in mental well-being, this is the place where we navigate the complexities of the mind to unlock our full potential. Join me as we uncover strategies, insights, and conversations that inspire positive change and foster mental resilience in all aspects of life.
You're listening to The Mind Coordinator with Dr. David Schoonover on KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and VSX Digital Sports Network.
And we are back. Thank you, everybody, for joining us again. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our next guest. Teaching for 35 years, Coach Mack will be teaching at Cerritos College. This is a new chapter in his life. It's known that he is a mentor of young people. He makes a positive difference in their life, makes a huge impact for a lot of these students who are really trying to navigate the real world. Coach Mack has been football coach for 15 years. He's helped coach these players by helping them successfully win football games, go to Super Bowls, and helping student athletes transfer into four-year universities, along with teaching for many years. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm mind coordinator welcome to Coach Mack. Good morning, Coach. How are we doing?
I'm doing great. Hey, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
We're so glad to have you here today, Coach. I want to jump right in, Coach. You've done so much with mentoring and leadership and those kind of things. I want to just kind of start off with, some of the things that you've run into in your career, and there's so many, but from a mental health aspect, we begin by recognizing mental health it's a vital aspect as much as physical aspect as for coaches and athletes, anybody involved in sports. What has been your experience when you run into situations where mental health is not easily detected in these players and people?
Yeah, well, I think when we're looking at 18 to 22-year-old people, mm-hmm. You look at that stage of their lives and what's really going on there is, and I mean, if the audience and everybody listening started thinking about when they were 18 to 22, where they were at, and at that point, what I kind of deciphered was most people that were coming to our institution were they were discovering. It's a time where they're discovering who they are. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so how could we facilitate and help them discover who they are? What people there that most people. There's a small percentage of people that had an understanding of where they were going to go in their career, but for the most part, they had no idea.
Right.
So what happens there, what we thought was people are in discovering who they are. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your interests? And I think that period of time allows them to discover those things, but you gotta let them know, hey,
right,
these are things that are happening to you right now, and you want to start looking for those things, and that's what one of the things that college does. It provides a diversity of subject matters. So when you're looking at all these subject matters, those things are there to help you. The different classes you take mm-hmm. introduce you to different subjects, so you can kind of see, oh boy, I really have an interest in that.
Right.
This one's maybe not so much my interest. And so then over a period of time, you start to look at things that you do well, things you don't do well, and you try to put those things together. Mm-hmm. Now, with that said, when you're coming to a community college, the kids that were coming to us, that it was a very diverse population that came to our school, from an intellectual point of view, from a financial point of view, from an ethnicity point of view. And so you're trying to, put, a way of communicating to them on, okay, here's the way, here are things that you're looking at. How to discover yourself, and here's kind of the path that we're going to go on. So it was very, very diverse. Confidence levels, there were some kids that were very confident, some that weren't so confident. And so from a football point of view, when they came to us, we started to basically go, we kind of assess our program and who we are. And as a football coach myself, you know, we tried to create situations where the kids, we had to, if you will, sell ourselves on who we are. Mm-hmm. And, you know, for me personally, I was there to make a difference in their lives. I mean, and so when I look at the relationship between the kids and myself and our program, I want to sell that and let them know that that's what we're here for. Mm-hmm. We know, and when we sit down with someone, I know what the kid's going to do for us in the program. He's going to, you know, help us win football games and bring recognition to the school and so on and so forth. But our focus primarily was what was the interest of the kid? Mm-hmm. What was the interest of the kid and their family? And how can we help them achieve things that they want? So whenever, you know, I was involved with something, I always looked at, okay, if we're sitting at the table, no matter what it was, in this case, okay, let's talk about whether it's a classroom or recruiting a kid or doing some fundraising, whatever the heck the situation was. Mm-hmm. I wanted to know what everybody's interest was at the table. Mm. And my focus was, this is how I want to hear what you have, what your interests are. And then I want to let you know, this is how we're going to take care of your interests. And so some kids, most of them didn't have an idea, you know, right, what they were looking for. So we tried to facilitate that. And so when they came to us at the community college level, most of them, you know, from a football point of view, because we taught classes at our institutions also. So there's always the teaching of the classes, but it was like, okay, we had it narrowed down. But most of them wanted to go to a four-year school. That was the goal. I want to go to a four-year school and, you know, get a Division I scholarship. So in our assessment, we sit there and talk, you know, then we would bring the mothers and the fathers in and sit down with them in the recruiting session, because I want the mom and dad involved. Absolutely. In what's going on in their kids' lives. Yeah. And let them know that we're going to be here for his best interest, and we're going to bring you in, tell you how we're going to fit your needs, you know, mothers, fathers, mm-hmm, and the student athlete. And I want to be able to call you at home and let you know, hey, here's how your son's doing, you know, and have that communication at home to help support us together achieving what your family wants for your young man.
Coach, I got to tell you, that is so profound what you said. I think that's a big key in today's athletics, you know, at the college level. Mm-hmm. It's all about wins, right? And if you're a coach, right, or an assistant coach, and your livelihood depends on some teenagers or some, you know, young men winning games, you're in it for the wrong reason. And I love what you said, because it's not a one size fits all. Some of these D1 schools think that it is. I've had the opportunity to work with pro athletes in football, soccer, and basketball. Very different. But in college, it's a whole different ballgame. And what you said, I totally wish that all the coaches that are listening to this would just glean this information from you, because the more that you are involved in that young man or young woman's life, and you're bringing the family involved, you learn so much about why this particular athlete acts or doesn't act like they do, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's not a one size fits all, and you know,
absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it was just, you know, because the young man and young woman, because again, I kind of go back and forth. I know we talked about recruiting, but we were in the classroom, and the same things applied. It was it was just make a difference in people's lives. I mean, right. Football's football, teaching's teaching. It was all the same approach, mm-hmm, you know, and so, you know. You have to be, you know, I think it kind of starts with, you as a person, for me, I was fortunate because my purpose in life was to make a difference in people's lives. Now, that wasn't something that you just find under the rug. There's a process that you go through that, and that's another conversation to have. But if you can be fortunate enough to find your purpose and then you have a profession in which allows you to flourish in that environment and make difference in people's lives, it was a very, very rewarding profession. So absolutely. For me, it wasn't work. It's not work. It's like, you look forward to going there every single day. But to win football games, to bring a young man in there and, okay, we're going to win football games is a very, very limited perspective.
For sure.
It's got to have, and it's got to have some meaning to that, But you have to, look at yourself and go, okay, why are you doing what you do? And what is your purpose in life? But again, that's another segment. But you go back to the kid and go, look, this is how when the kids came in, we pretty much knew what the concerns were. Most of the kids that came to us, they didn't get the Division I scholarship. Why? Well, there was a variety of reasons for that. Sometimes they just didn't develop fast enough and they weren't ready. Sometimes it was an academic issue, okay? And so they didn't get the exposure for whatever reason. So they would come to us and go, I got another chance. So we would sit down, and it really came down to three areas when the kids came to us. One was strength development. For the most part, the kids weren't ready physically to go to a four-year school. They just didn't have the size, the girth, whatever you want to say. So we would address that in the recruiting process. The academics were an issue. Okay. Kids would come to us, again, with a very diverse, some what we call, I don't know how much your audience understands, but they were qualifiers. They had enough schooling to qualify to go to a four-year school, but maybe they weren't recruited for whatever reason, so they came to us for a second chance. Others were not qualifiers, so they were a little bit more academically challenged, so you need to lay out a plan. Go, okay, here are the requirements by the NC2A. Here's how we're going to address. This is the plan, semester after semester after semester, to get you ready academically. In addition to that, here's the support that goes along with that academic plan. So while you're going through this, mom and dad are loving to hear that. And then, the recruit is going, okay, at least I have a plan, but I want to get to a Division I school, but there's a plan academically. The third area was it became a financial situation, because some of them didn't have the finances. So what we did at our institution, because we felt that was a need, we had to educate ourselves with the financial aid process and connect with, our on-campus department and go, okay, here's our situation. What can we do to facilitate that? So we educated ourselves on that process, and we became a facilitator of getting all that material to the financial aid office to support the young man financially, which really helped in the recruiting process because it gave us, some more reason to contact mom, contact dad, the child. You're going, okay, well, here we are. We got, 6 of the 9, things we need to get the financial aid process. We need these 2 things. When can we get those things? So we're facilitating that process, and we're showing interest so that the young man could buy the books to support the academic plan.
Right. What you're doing, Coach, is you're just you're presenting the complete package, and I'm sure that you probably had overwhelming success from the parents' point of view and from the student athlete. Coach, in that particular realm, you are always coaching. It's not necessarily coaching on the field, right? And the thing that I hear from you,
100%.
Yep. And the thing that I hear from you is that you are speaking truth, which seems to be the number one problem with a lot of people these days. We're going to take a quick break here, Coach, pay some bills. We'll be back in just a minute. Everybody hang tight. We got Coach Mike McPherson on the line. We will be right back.
You're listening to The Mind Coordinator with Dr. David Schoonover on KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and VSX Digital Sports Network.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel David Flippo, and I approve this message.
Open borders, crime, inflation, failing schools. Is this the nation Democrats think we truly deserve? Republican Colonel David Flippo stands ready to represent District 4 and all Nevadans with unwavering commitment and strength. He's not just promising change, he's ready to deliver it. With a focus on economic freedom, Colonel Flippo pledges to cut bureaucratic red tape and create an environment where Nevada small business can survive and thrive, giving power to entrepreneurs and employees like you to drive our economy forward. As a combat veteran, Colonel Flippo knows the importance of national security. He's seen the border crisis firsthand and is dedicated to securing our nation and communities. On education, Colonel Flippo is committed to ensuring that parents have the right to raise their children with integrity and without interference. With Colonel Flippo, it's about taking real action that will shape a brighter Nevada future for us all. Early voting starts soon, and the primary is June 11, 2024. Blue no more to get ahead. In District 4, let's flip it red with Colonel Flippo.
Paid for by the committee to elect Lieutenant Colonel David Flippo. You're tuned into the VSX Digital Sports Network.
Strap it up!
You're listening to The Mind Coordinator with Dr. David Schoonover on KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and VSX Digital Sports Network.
All right, guys, we are back with Coach Mack. If you haven't tuned in, you better tune in now because Coach Mack is just giving us some valuable insight on what happens with coaches and players and so much more. Coach, I want to ask you, just kind of shift gears here a little bit. You've got, you as a coach, you're basically the architect, so if you want to use that word, of an athletic development, a team culture, right? And you play such a pivotal role in fostering a positive mental environment. Your understanding of sports psychology principle, it really equips you and your assistant coaches to really motivate the players, to build resilience when adversity hits. And you create this winning mindset that really it's more than what the numbers are on the scoreboard. So give us kind of a little bit of insight how you go about doing that creation, Coach.
Yeah, so when the players are coming in, they're all and again, they're at different levels, very diverse, man. It's so you're dealing with a melting pot, so to speak. But so you go, okay, how do I navigate this thing? So when in motivating players is that we nailed it down to two things. Okay, we're going to motivate players, and one was opportunity. Opportunity provides motivation. So hey, chance to play, to start, to get a scholarship, whatever it is. So they're motivated to do that. To get that. Fear is another motivator.
Yeah.
Okay, and so that comes in. Maybe we like to always try to put it onto a positive note as much as possible, but like a fear of failure.
Right.
So they want to strive for success, and that they want to do well. They want for themselves. They're players that like to impress the coach. I want to impress the coach, and then I'm going to be able to play more or what have you. And so those were two factors. And, you know, sometimes coaches can get in there and, you know, be yellers and screamers and all that stuff. But that stuff, you know, there's times to get after kids, you know, and get their attention. But you have to be careful about doing too much of that. And, you know, you have to be conscientious of it, you know, because you're trying to, you know, navigate the 60 players we had on the defensive side of the ball, you know, and
Yep.
sometimes things can get a little out, and you better, you know, you be conscientious of that. And you jump at a kid and you jump at him a couple times. You better get over there and put your arm around him and explain, you know, tell him that, you know, I'm here for you. I know I jumped at you a little bit, but, you know, just trying to get you to move, so to speak, you know.
Yep.
So those are the two areas. Now, from that, you know, motivational point of view is, you know, nothing stays the same. So things are going to constantly change. And that's going to happen throughout your whole life. So,
Sure.
And then you brought this up, you know, that, you know, there's some adversity out there.
Right. Yep.
You know, there's some challenges that are going to be out there. And, you know, those, I think, in trying to inform, you know, kids that there are going to be challenges, okay? There is going to be adversity. It's going to happen when you're trying to win a position, okay? It's going to happen in a football game, and it's going to happen in life. And then sometimes, you know, there are going to be things happen to you. You know, you're going to get knocked down. This sort of, you've heard that term, get knocked down, get back up type thing.
Yep.
You know, and you're going to get knocked down, and sometimes you're not even going to see it coming in your lifetime.
Right.
So you got to build some, you know, you better have a little intestinal fortitude. You got to have a little toughness about you. You got to be able to get back up and get after it again. So, and realize that that's okay. And that's important. That's really important to all the kids, is that there are going to be failures. There are. There are going to be challenges, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You got to, you just go, accept it and start to work through it.
Yeah.
So figure it out and keep getting after it. So I think that was really significant to get that across, you know, to them. I think that sometimes I would explain this like, okay, remember when you were 10 years old? You know, and again, I'm kind of focused on, okay, here's the classroom, here's the football player. I said, how did you see the world?
Mm-hmm.
And they would all sit, you know, the kid would sit there, the class would sit down. Wow, yeah. I said the world was Disneyland, wasn't it? Every day was Disneyland. It's great. And now here you are, 18 to 22. You're going into a college situation. You're going, do you see the world the same way? And, oh, boy, you have to see the reaction was like,
Right.
oh, whoa. So, well, guess what? More of that's coming. So what I would try to explain to the kids, like when I'm recruiting them, okay, like I explained to you and your audience, we're going to try to address all your needs and all that, and we're going to try to establish a comfort level that you know why we're recruiting your son and how we are going to take care of your needs. We're going to establish a comfort level there.
Yeah.
And I've explained that to them. Once they came to our program, once the kid came into the classroom after the introduction, I said, now, you good with everything? Yes, we're good. Now, the rest of the time, I'm going to make you uncomfortable. Why is that? Because uncomfortable is where you grow.
Yeah.
Comfortable is not where you grow and move. Uncomfortable. So start getting used to it. And I would create uncomfortable situations for them. One of the, you know, so you go from a motivation, because you brought up motivation. One of the things, and I would, man, I'd drive our assistant coaches crazy, man, with this. Oh my God. So during the week, you know, I was handling all the practice plans and everything. And so I would put in plays in the practice that they hadn't seen on the film. And the coach go, "What? They didn't run that play." You're right, they didn't. What? Okay, that's a problem. What are we going to do about it? So the coaches would go crazy, you know, and the kids are going, "I hadn't seen that play." And so that was just more of a motivation, keep everybody a little bit on edge, okay? And then even all the way up, and I would do this, and I would do this, and I'd tell the head coach all the time, I said, "Okay, every year, coach, you got to kick everybody off the field at least one day. Just whatever practice isn't going right, just send them to the locker room and let them know." And again, it's, "Oh shit, we screwed up. We feared what practice wasn't going. We got to do better." And all that was to just elevate practice, you know?
Absolutely.
And it usually came about the fourth week of the year, you know, because everybody's all excited about the first game, and everybody's hyped up and everybody's excited. And you get about to the fourth week, and I'm telling you, you watch your coaches' motivation, you watch your players motivate, you watch everything just kind of settle.
Yeah.
And you've got to kind of address that.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. You know, Coach, I like what you said about them being uncomfortable. In my business, the name of my business is the Lighthouse Sessions, and I talk to individuals and couples along with many sports athletes, college and pro, and they don't understand entirely what growth really is. And I use the example of the hamster wheel. So you can take a guy that just is working his 9 to 5. You can take a guy who's a sports guy. He's going to get up, maybe get a shower, get dressed, go to work. He's going to go to school, do some classes, get with some tutors. Class is over. He's going to go change. He's going to go jump in the gym. He's going to get with a nutritionist, do some weights, learn some plays, and repeat. There is absolutely no growth in any of that. Same with the guy that does his 9 to 5. Comes home, puts his shorts on, gets a cool glass of iced tea, watches the news, eats supper, goes to bed. No growth whatsoever. And I refer to that as the hamster wheel. And there is so much of that going on in our world with in any realm, whether it's just individuals or couples or sports. They don't get it. So I understand what you're saying about making them uncomfortable. You are preparing
routine
for growth. Yes.
Yep. Right.
Absolutely. It has to happen. And that is one of the best motivators that I think there can be, preparing them for the unknown.
Yep. Yeah, you got it. You have to do it. You have to do it because it's coming.
Absolutely. And we're in a whole different ballgame with what's going on in college sports these days. And it's I don't know if it's a growth mindset, really. I think it might be more of a money mindset.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely shifting. I think that when you bring that up, just the first thing that jumps in my head is Nick Saban, who was the head coach at Alabama. And so you go, I don't know the man, but just listening to him talk, it has, one of the things, the reason he got out of it is because, he's there because I'm trying to impact these people's lives. And if this just becomes a dollars game, then that goes to the side. And I think, it goes back to that, what we talked about earlier. It's just like if the coach is just coaching to win a football game, it's going to be very limited there.
Right.
There's very little return there to, you could say winning a game is something, but there's not much substance there.
Absolutely.
So, and I think that's maybe the point you're trying to make there. It's just, wait a second, this thing might be going sideways. Absolutely. Right. Like I said, I don't know Nick Saban, but I tell you what, I really, the things that he says, I really like that guy.
Yeah.
I like the things that he says.
Well, Nick Saban has got to be, if not the best or one of the best in the history of college football coaches. And I like to use the example of Coach Saban quite often because there is room for growth, and you know this, there's room for growth in every single person, no matter what. You just have to be open to the fact that there's an issue that you need to grow and learn how to overcome whatever kind of behavior is. Well, with Coach Saban, in all of his brilliance and all of his wins, in all of his national champion, all the accolades, I think they should rename Alabama Saban territory. You know, it's overwhelming. However, Nick Saban has a cognitive distortion, and I talk about those a lot in my sessions. And what Coach Saban does, he has something that's known as mental filtering. It is a cognitive distortion. And I'll give you a couple of examples. As brilliant, I am sure he's a wonderful man, family man. I'm sure his positives far outweigh his negatives. However, these cognitive distortions are very simple. It's halftime. Let's say Bama is playing Georgia and they're winning 24-0. They're going to ask Coach Saban before he goes out the field, hey, Coach, you're winning 24-0. You know, what do you attribute that success to? The first thing Saban is going to say, and he does it almost 100% of the time as well, our offensive line didn't do this, and we dropped a couple balls, and we missed a field goal. Thanks, Coach. The game's over. Alabama beats Georgia 100-0. They asked Coach Saban, Coach, you just demolished Georgia 100-0. What were your successes here? Well, you know, we dropped a couple balls here and we fumbled here. These are cognitive distortions where you're basically draining or straining all the positives in a situation and you're dwelling on the negatives. This happens more times than you know. And Coach Saban, and again, with all due respect to Coach Saban, one of the greatest ever, these are areas in his life as one of the most dominant coaches in college football where improvement is definitely needed. Now, you take a different type of coach. Let's use you as an example. Your team won the game 14-0, big defensive battle. You're going to give props to your defense. You're going to say, hey, you know, our defense played great. Our offense, you know, it's different. And I know that you've run into that, Coach. So when you see assistant coaches and other coaches, and you hear that, what would your response be to those guys that are having this cognitive distortion?
Well, I think that, you know, when you get into leadership, you know, a leadership position in coaches, there's a lot. So now you got coaches working for you, and then, you know, you got the head coach or coordinators, however the, you know, organization structures that. Then, you know, you have a responsibility, you know, at least I felt like, yeah, we're going to make a difference in the kid's life and all that. But you also have coaches there.
Yeah.
And you got to make a difference in their lives too.
Sure.
Okay. They all have professional goals, you know, whatever it might be. And I would sit down with the coaches. What are you trying to accomplish? I want to coach this, that, you know, whatever you want to do in your professional career. So you gotta be there to mentor them also. Mm-hmm. So how they handle situations with kids, when they're going overboard one way or the other, you got to intervene. Yeah. You know, when they're being too overly positive, if they happen to be with the press or what have you, or overly negative, I don't know, trying to create balance there.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, you know, as you well know, you know, people, you know, they get on TV, they talk about a particular program, you know, things can get blown out of proportion. Mm-hmm. I remember, you know, this is crazy. We had a situation where, you know, we were like rated the number one team in the state of California one year. Mm-hmm. And we got a lot of recognition. We had 5 offensive linemen over 300 pounds.
Wow.
Now, you know, and in the 90s, that was something.
That was ginormous, right?
Oh, huge. They were huge. Yeah. It was like, so we got all this recognition, and we're going to go up there and we're going to play Cerritos College. Never played them before. They're up close to, for your audience, like in the Bakersfield area, Northern California. So we go up there. We never played them before, didn't know much about them. We go up there. We get beat 55-9.
Ouch.
I remember it like yesterday.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
but you look at that situation, you go, look at all this publicity, and we're all this, and we're all that, we're all that. And we walked up there, and I mean, they took it to us. Now, there were some, and so, you sit there, and you're talking to your coaches and going, look at all this overblown publicity got us like way overconfident here.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the problems. The other problem became a recruiting problem. Our players aren't quite the players they had. We found out later, they were kind of ahead of the game, and they were recruiting out of Florida and Georgia, and they had some really, really good football players.
Yeah.
And that really motivated us to, change. I said, guys, we got to change our recruiting process. And we developed a process and identified the kind of kids that we needed to get in order to compete at that level.
Sure.
But to the point is, sometimes things can get out of hand, and you got to kind of get everybody in balance.
You have to understand, Coach. Yeah. It's been my experience.
You do.
You've got to know who. All right, let's say you're the head coach, and you have 5 assistant coaches. What do you really know about these men? Well, let's see. He's married. He's got 2 kids. His birthday's in April. He's an offensive-minded guy or is a defensive-minded guy, right? But do you really know who they are? And I will tell you with utmost confidence that you do not. Now,
absolutely.
In my therapy, what I do, and we're going to have to go to a commercial break here pretty quick here, Coach, but I'm going to tell you, we'll come back to this in a minute, but in my therapy and what I do with people, the questions, the testing that I do with them, I can tell them with 90 to 95% accuracy why they do what they do, how they think like they do, what their go-to emotions are. And we'll get back to that in just a second. Everybody hang tight. We are with Coach Mack. We are having a great conversation, great insight from the coach. He is such an inspiration to us all. We're going to pay a couple of bills, and we will be back directly.
You're listening to The Mind Coordinator with Dr. David Schoonover on KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and VSX Digital Sports Network.
Ball out, all house, serve it up. Serve it up. You can't wrap me up.
According to a VA study, each day 22 veterans take their own lives. Together we can win the war against veteran suicide. Join Mission 22 to let our veterans know that they have an army behind them that cares. This salute is courtesy of Pops Automotive, where they're serving our area with integrity and excellence. For all of your automotive needs, stop by 1433 South Main Street in Las Vegas or call them at 702-676-1002. That's 702-676-1002. That's Pops Automotive on the air saluting our troops and veterans. Clear Sky Resorts invites you to experience the future of luxury glamping at their newest resort, opening August 1st, 2024 near Bryce Canyon. Guests at the first and only glass-domed stargazing resort in the U.S. will be immersed in the stunning scenery of the resort's private 80-acre canyon, both indoors and out. And nights in your Sky Dome will be like sleeping in an aquarium of stars. Located in Cannonville, Utah, on scenic Byway 12, voted one of the most scenic roads in America, the resort will feature lots of fun on-resort activities, as well as one of the world's largest glass-domed restaurants. To book your reservation, please call 1-888-704-4445 or visit clearskyresorts.com.
You're tuned into the VSX Digital Sports Network.
Strap it up. Strap it up.
You're listening to The Mind Coordinator with Dr. David Schoonover on KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and VSX Digital Sports Network.
All right, we are back listening to a great conversation with Coach Mike McPherson. Coach Mac, before our commercial break, I was telling you about some of the things that I do with the Lighthouse sessions with individuals and with, people involved in the sporting world. How much of a difference do you think it would make, Coach? I'm going to present this to you. You're the head coach. You got 5 assistant coaches. And we go through this testing like I do with 90 to 95% accuracy on every single coach working for you. And you know, with that high percentage of accuracy, how they're going to act or react. How much of a difference would that make for you as a head coach?
I think that's pretty big. That's pretty big. It's funny you said something, it just triggered something in my head. It's just like very few people. I mentioned it earlier, and I said it's probably a time for another conversation. But it was like finding your purpose in your life. Mm-hmm. Okay, and the process is that at least this is what I went through. And I think it's kind of tying into what you're talking about is that there aren't a lot of people that really pay attention. They'll make a decision but how many people sit there and really look at and analyze, why did you make that decision? Mm-hmm. What does it say about you? Mm-hmm. And making that decision, and I would try to, tell the kids, okay, look, everything's about your actions and your behaviors. They define who you are, but that's the surface. But why? Why do you do what you do? Mm-hmm. And if you can define that for yourself, or help somebody else define it for them, they can figure out what their purpose in their life is.
Sure.
And it's so looking at the decisions that you made. There was one situation that I came about that really reflected this. And so I was given this opportunity to, the president of the college came down and said, I want to get us a new football scoreboard. I said, okay. And I was kind of acting as a football coach, athletic director kind of person, Mm-hmm. And my boss, academic, she said, okay, well, you handle this. Okay, fine. So I went home that night. I said, okay, let's go get a football coach. And I'm a football coach, so I'm excited, yeah. Right?
Right.
My thought was, well, what do you think the softball coach feels about this football scoreboard? And everybody else. So I came back the next day. I said, we need to get scoreboards for everybody. And I told that to my boss. Okay. And I presented that to the president of the college. And he said, that's a great idea. Now go find a way to pay for it.
Right.
But my point was this: why did you think about all the other sports? What does that matter? Just take care of the football.
Yep.
You're a football coach. Get a new football score. That's great. But why? Because, my assessment of that was, you know what? You're here. You got an opportunity to take care of everybody. All the programs, men and women. And I took that opportunity. That told me something about me. So if you can assess, with your assistant coaches and help them, okay, here's what you did. Why did you do that? What does that say about you? And help them, understand themselves. That's really, that's another level to me.
Coach, I got to tell you, it is the quintessential question that nobody asks. And you just mentioned it. Why? And I'll tell you.
Why?
We are hardwired, Coach. We are hardwired to think and process thought a certain way from birth till death. I like to use a lot of analogies in my work, and one of the analogies that I use quite often is, let me just rephrase that. Can you think of a time where you said something or did something and you went, oh gosh, I shouldn't have done that or I shouldn't have said that? Everybody probably has.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We're hardwired to think a certain way. Now, with the testing I do and the questions, and like I mentioned, now we can address the behavior that can be changed. But nobody asked the question why. Why did I do this? That kind of thing. So if we're putting that in a sports perspective, you're the head coach. You've got some head coaches. Some assistant coaches. And John over there, John will give you the shirt off his back. He's one of those guys. They're wonderful. They're great people. Woman or man doesn't matter. They'll do everything for you. But the problem with him is that he hates conflict so much that he is afraid to speak his mind. So are you getting the most out of him? No, you're not, because no matter how comfortable he feels, he hates conflict. Now you've got Jim over here, and Jim is constantly thinking in his normal daily life, multiple times, dozens of times a day, what could possibly go wrong. Now, 99.9% of those thoughts that man or woman has, they never happen, but they're the thoughts they have. What can go wrong? So now he's an assistant coach. He's a defensive coach, and he's thinking what can go wrong. Now, that has good, positive, and negative connotations, right? Positively, I will say that I have friends that work for SpaceX. They think like this constantly. Are they an asset? Absolutely, because they're thinking about, is every bolt tight? Is there plenty of fuel on the rocket? Those kind of things. On a football field, he's thinking the same thing. What could go wrong? Well, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. But for a lot of those folks, it really throws curveballs in their decision making. So once you understand that from a mental perspective, how this guy or this woman, how they think, what makes them tick, that enables you to do what I call effective communication. Because, and I know you've heard this before, Coach, the greatest problem with communication is the illusion it's taken place. You're having a conversation with somebody, and it's going in one ear and out the other because you don't really know who you're talking to. And I think that I find that quite often in professional sports and with just individuals, with couples. And it's a shame, but people never ask that question, like you mentioned, Coach. Why? Why does this happen? Why?
I think that's the question. Why do you do what you do?
Yep.
You know, and it's it needs to be part of your process of your personal growth, you know.
Absolutely.
But nobody's when's that introduced to somebody?
Right. You know, and it's interesting because when I, as a therapist, when I first take on new clients, they're in a bad way, right? They are one step away from divorce. There's maybe some abuse. There's something going on. When I take on new clients that are professional athletes, it's really not that much difference. It's the behavior that they never asked when they were in college. They never had anybody really work with them from that perspective, from the mental perspective. Yeah, they spent plenty of time in the weight room, and yeah, they ate plenty of steaks, and they could run fast, and they can catch a ball. But you've heard this expression, Coach. You don't want to bring your work home with you. In the professional realm, it's quite the opposite. They're bringing home to work with them. And I find a lot of times this is where you see some of these guys going haywire, right? You know, they're driving fast down through town. They got a gun in their car. They get pulled over for a DUI, those kind of things. And it's usually, it's not entirely too late, but at that point, things have gone south. And I find that happens quite a bit. So understanding why you do what you do as a coach, assistant coach, once you have that knowledge of what goes on between the ears, not between the out of bounds, it makes you just a more productive person. You can now communicate.
Right. I don't think there's any question about that. And it's funny because it's funny you say that because especially in the classroom, I would let them know. I go, look, my purpose in my life is to make a difference in yours. And this was part of the introduction of the class. And I said, and I'm going to prove it to you with my behavior in the next 18 weeks of this class. And so I would, support that because I'm already know who I am and why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to show it to you. And so that was my way of, okay, you're not going to find your purpose tomorrow. This is a process that you would use. And I would explain those things to them, but then I would support that in the next 18 weeks. So then at the most, what I was hoping that they would just at least leave the classroom with knowing that, you know, I got a way of finding my purpose in my life. And I got a chance to see it right in front of me.
Yeah.
And so, and that was communicated back from the kids, you know, and even in the players too. I mean, you know, I've coached guys and, you know, 20 years later, you know, I had a chance to we went out to dinner, you know, it's been 20 years. We were happened to be in Vegas and went out to dinner with 3 of the players and their wives. I had my wife, and, you know, you're listening to the, you know, now the young men talking about their experience, and oh my gosh, you know, and all of it was just reconfirmed to me. I mean, they're grateful that you had a little impact on their lives, you
Certainly.
know?
Yeah.
You know, so I think but you got to get introduced to it. And it's like you said, where along the line is that coming from? Where's that coming?
Yep.
That's right. To answer the question, why do you do what you do? Why did that's, you know, you said it a number of times in this conversation. What makes you tick?
Right.
How many people are, you know, what makes you tick? Really?
That's exactly right. And most people they just go through life and they don't have a clue. Coach, I'm going to give you a real quick example from my work as a therapist. And this is a real story minus names. Young lady, mid-30s, has a problem with relationships, right? So she breaks up with a guy. She's going to rebound. She gets their girls and she goes to the club. And what are they looking for? The perfect guy. And lo and behold, there he is. And they start a relationship. It's a physical relationship, and it's going on for a month or two. And the guy is super happy. She's beautiful. Things are going well. He brings her a dozen roses one day, and she tells him, "You really didn't have to do that." And he's thinking that's a canned response. They go get a pizza. They're doing their thing. Again, more of a physical relationship than anything. About a month later, he brings her some chocolates. And she says, "You really didn't have to do that." And, you know, again, he's thinking canned response. About a month later, he comes over, knocks on the door. She looks at him. She opens the door. She goes, "I'm done with you. Get out. I'm done. Don't come back." He is shocked. He has no idea what's going on. He's madly in love with this woman. Everything's going well. So what happens? She goes, she grieves for about 10 seconds. She gets to the girls, and they're going to go to the club, and guess they're looking for? Mr. Right. And this is a true story from a real session, right? So what's happening here is that, again, the question why. She doesn't understand why. And after I worked with her for literally just a couple of weeks, here's the thing that would have done everything for her, but the man didn't know, neither did she. She wanted nothing. The only thing that this woman needed was to be told and shown that she was loved for just who she is. She didn't have to do anything, and that would have cemented the deal. There are so many aspects when it comes to this relationships, whether you're a coach, whether you're a husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, you know, those kind of things. And again, it's the question why. Why does this happen? You cannot fix the problem with the same mentality that got you into the problem. And I think that is just another really horrible aspect of it anyway.
Right. Yep.
All right, Coach. We are gonna wrap it up here for today. I want to thank you so much, Coach, for your valuable insight. It's been wonderful having you on here. I would absolutely love to have you back. There's so much that we can talk about that would really help our audience. Really just kind of understand what's going on from a perspective of coaching and just relationships in general, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Anytime. You think I can be helpful? Anytime.
Thank you so much, Coach. Thank you very much. All right, guys. Yep. Okay. We'll talk to you later. All right. So, thank you everybody for joining us today. I want to, again, big shout out to Coach Mac for joining us, for everybody that's listening locally and around the world. We really appreciate this. You can find me, Dr. Schoonover, at the Mind Coordinator on Instagram, and as well as Facebook and all those, social media outlets. We have to understand about what's happening with our minds. We have to understand what's happening with our relationships. And we have to understand about emotions as such a powerful aspect of the human experience. It shapes everything about us. It shapes our perceptions and our behaviors. But as we learned today, most people don't ask the question, why? Why do I do what I do? They don't understand, and they just repeat and repeat and repeat. I want to thank you again, everybody, for joining us, the Mind Coordinator. I'm Dr. David Schoonover. We'll be back again next week.
With Dr. David Schoonover on KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and VSX Digital Sports Network.